Wir sind hier mit Ali Haji, CEO des Lithiumexplorers ION Energy, Ticker ION. Ali war auf der PDAC in Toronto, der größten Bergbaumesse der Welt, ein äußerst gefragter Gesprächspartner. So gefragt, dass wir uns entschieden haben, unser Interview lieber in Ruhe über das Internet zu führen. Wir wollen im Detail hören, wie es um die Projekte des Unternehmens in der Mongolei steht und was für dieses Jahr zu erwarten ist. Welcome, Ali.
Thank you very much, Bjorn. A pleasure to be here.
So, Ali, to remind our audience about ION Energy, very shortly give us a sort of top-level summary of what the company is all about.
Of course. ION Energy is a company I co-founded in 2017. We currently hold 2 licenses in Mongolia, where we are first movers. Bavaihul at 81,000 hectares and Urgaknaran at 29,000 hectares. Through various exploration activities, we've now found the highest grade of lithium brine ever collected in Mongolia at 918 milligrams per liter. Of course, our assets are between 23 and 150 kilometers from the largest consumer of lithium in the world today, that being China.
Great, well, thank you very much. So that brings me, of course, to the next question. What made you decide to go into Mongolia in the pursuit of lithium in 2017 when you found this?
Sure. My chairman's been in Mongolia since about 2009. In 2016, we visited the country to close an acquisition of Centerra Gold's ATO asset for Step Gold, which is a gold producing company in Mongolia. In 2017, having revisited the country and understanding that it's part of the Great Asian Endorheic Basin, the similarities in terms of geology between that area of Asia in the Gobi Desert, as well as LATAM, so the Lithium Triangle, were rather apparent to us as a team. We opted to start the company at the tail end of the last lithium cycle, so 2017, when things were, at the bare bottom in terms of other lithium players. But we understood, much like others, or other minerals for that matter, that minerals are cyclical in nature and that there will be a return to demand for lithium. And of course, with the clean green energy revolution that we're seeing now, it's not only a blip or a cyclical nature in terms of its demand, it is something that truly is aggressively growing and will continue to grow.
Even though there might be some short-term blips or whatever you want to call it, because of course the lithium price has come down from the top, let's say, but it's still at very elevated levels now.
That's a good thing in our view. The price needs to come down because it filters out everybody that's not a real producer or a producer that might have a high cost margin in terms of production. So everybody that's riding the wave today and going public in terms of a lithium company that was expecting prices to be at 70,000, well, guess what? They're at 41,000 now. Is your technology, is your asset still competitive? Is your infrastructure still competitive? So for us, I think it's fantastic that the prices are coming down. And we had never imagined in 2017 when we started the company that the price would hit 85,000. So the price is not something that we're concerned about.
Okay, good to hear. So let's talk a bit more details about your projects. I think the focus is at the moment on the project called Urgaknaran, and which is also more advanced in terms that you already have been and are drilling there, I think. Please give us a short summary where you're at now and what can we expect in the next couple of weeks and months.
Absolutely. Urgaknaran, rightly pointed out, is more advanced than Bavaihul. It's a 29,000 hectare license in Dorngovi province. It is fault bound, which is indicative of what you would expect in the Atacama or anywhere else that lithium exists in the paleosolar today. We conducted a surface sample where we found 918 milligrams per liter last April, so about a year ago or just less than a year ago. We then did some geophysics across the entire basin, and we found volumes that are indicative of 9.9 billion cubic meters at low resistivity of half an ohm. So other juniors in the space will use about 7 ohm as their cutoff. At 6.5 ohm, we still have 22.7 billion cubic meters of low resistivity. As you pointed out, Bjorn, we started drilling. So we drilled 3 lithological holes last year, the results of which were put out to market in December. Those holes are about anywhere between 1.5 to 2.5 kilometers apart across that entire basin. And what we found there was gravelite zones, tapaceous sand, very indicative of what you would see in Argentina in Centenario. Very similar geology in that regard. But importantly, across those 3 holes in 100-meter intercepts, we found grades of up to 310 ppm average. For our viewers that are following the industry, for apples-to-apples comparison, Nevada has an asset called the Silver Peak Mine that is owned by Albemarle. That is the only producing brine asset in North America today. And when they did similar lithological drilling for that asset, their average grade was about 121 ppm. So at 310, we're almost 3 times as high as that grade. following that, we did 3 water wells. So we conducted the drilling of 2.5 of those. If our viewers recall, about 10 days ago, we announced the completion of the 3rd hole, or the resumption of the 3rd hole. That will be complete in the coming days. And then we start to deploy a baler system whereby we pump out the holes using airlift pumps. We then deploy balers once they've refilled. We get an assay of the brines across that brine column. Once you have the average grade across the brine column, you multiply that by the volumes that we've just discussed, so the 9.9 billion cubic meters, and we can start to move towards an inferred resource. So what our viewers can expect on Rugak is an inferred resource in about 2 months' time maximum, and I'm being conservative because I don't want to overpromise and underdeliver. But in about 2 months' time, you will receive an inferred resource on Rugak. We then move towards measured and indicated, and of course scoping on that asset as well. So this year is very exciting for Rugak.
Sounds like it, because of course, like a lot of companies, you have been held up by the COVID pandemic. You weren't able to get back into the country for a long time. Though we had, of course, your crews who's there. But I think this year, actually, you were able to get a bit onto the project a bit earlier than you had hoped for, I think.
Yes, you're right. So April last year was the first time that we were able to get on site since our go public date in August 2020. And you're absolutely right. The crew exists in country and our teams exist in country. But as first movers in the lithium space, it was extremely important that as a junior miner, we took the necessary skill set with us there to kickstart the exploration program. So in April last year, we took Don Haynes, we took Dr. Mark King, myself, and a few other sort of strategic technology partners to go out there and train our Mongolian on-the-ground staff to do exploration programs as you would expect them to be done in the lithium triangle, and hence the delay. But we're pressing on, and I think if those that are following our story again, will see that we've progressed Rugak essentially from a greenfield project to an inferred resource in a very short period of time.
Okay. Good to hear. So then let's just talk shortly also about Baba Ayul, the second project, which is, I think, if I remember the numbers correctly, much bigger, but less advanced.
That's correct. So it is about 81,000 hectares. It's 60 kilometers wide by about 20 kilometers tall in its tallest position. Historical drilling has shown clays and evaporites up to 811 ppm. The drilling that we have now done has shown grades of up to 1,502 ppm, but again, very shallow holes, so less developed. No geophysics done there. But during the course of that drilling that we've concluded, we also found very strong copper-nickel anomalies in a gabbro-style deposit. So this asset is large, it's significant. We're going to dedicate more effort to it later this year or into early next year, whereby we will be doing some electromag and geophysics to better understand the anomalies before we start to drill.
Interesting. So a lot of news flow, hopefully, to come up over the course of this year and into next year. To sum it up, then, just give your personal opinion. Why now is the time to have a closer look at ION Energy?
Sure. I touched on it a bit, Bjorn, but I'll touch on it again. This is a company we co-founded in 2017 when carbonate prices were sub $3,000, maybe less at the time. At the tail end of the last cycle, they ran up to 85,000 at the peak of this current cycle. And now they're in about the $41,000 mark. And that's a good thing for us. We never saw prices at 85,000. We never saw prices at 60,000 when we built this company with a vision. And so we're not dependent on the price of lithium. We know that our location and our proximity to the largest consumer on the planet gives us a strategic advantage to help serve that market. We have a team that consists of individuals that have built Neo-Lithium, Lithium Americas, and are Tesla alumni. It's a team that ultimately is seeing the value in what we've done so far, and we're not dependent on the price remaining high for us to be profitable in the future. So this is why I believe ION Energy has a strong value proposition relative to our peers.
Okay, thank you very much, and we'll take you up on that at a later time. Thanks.